To say something before I speak? I'm a man of few words. That is all.
Now we know.
Anyways, I have a story for you. Of course, you know, Mom has 6 boys, and when we first moved here, there was some puppies running around before we bought the place, and we got one of the puppies. And question: who knows the name of the dog?
Tippy.
Tippy. So, anyways, the 2 times where us as boys misbehaved, Mom would get upset and be like, "Rest there, Tippy, Glenn, I don't." So now the joke's on us now, because now I have 3 kids. I only have 3, and not 6, and I'm like, Evelyn, Teal, Galen, what are you doing?
Roll call.
So yeah, that's
No, I wouldn't.
we used to like bug Mom about that, and now we're jokes on us. So. Anyways, Dad has something to say.
Hey.
Floor's all yours.
Okay, thanks. Yeah.
That might work.
I asked another guy to be here today, but he said he was too busy in a tumultuous place in the world. The wind was heavy and disaster, and so he had to be there, and he gave me permission to go ahead and talk for him a little bit. Anyhow, when we got met and married, one of the greatest things I saw for the first time in my life was 2 happy boys and other neighborhood boys in the district in Pender Street and Burnaby, and how happy they played. And the older of the boys was a leader. I could see the leadership in him, and he would get other boys to come in and set up their games and play. Some of the things they did was they built a fort. They called it Rat Patrol. It was very evident that this leader was going to go all the way and train up to be a soldier, and that's what he did. So things moved along, and Joanne's dad wanted us to take advantage of a cabin, a shack as it was called, out in Langley. We moved out there, and I didn't feel right inside myself for these boys to grow up in an area with so much outside pressure. Would they grow up good? Would they grow up bad? Would they get led astray? So I did. I wanted to move them to a wilderness area and see if we could grow the children and the family in a quiet manner. We weren't there long, and it was an elementary school. They kept moving schools around in those days on barges and one thing. They moved a school in, and the children population grew to a point. But there was a lady and another family that was happy in that town. They played. Happiness was predominant, and laughter and comedy and helpfulness to one another. So as they grew and the children came home from her little after school thing on Wednesday, came home with a piece of paper, and on the piece of paper was glued some pussy willows, and it was something to look at this, because the wording that went with these pussy willows was such that I had never heard it before. Actually, at the time, it was a paper fishhook, and so a week or so later, came home again. A child had done some coloring with his hands and the imprints and so on, and the emphasis for the child's emphasis, their mom, my wife, pinned what they had on the shelf, on the board beside our mobile home dining table. And that wording I never heard. I never heard of anything so astounding, and how the exclamatory grabness of this. So I just thought of it as being a fish hook. Another paper fish hook. And so in the area, there was a lurking of a salvage admiral. There was an admiral who carried out salvage operations in the west coast of Vancouver and Canada. Has a lot of wrecks associated with it. So anyhow, we found out from this lady that had this little after-school learning thing, we found out that their particular flotilla, they had others on the other side of the island that carried out similar things, and this salvage contractor, this salvage admiral, was there as well. So I phoned and asked if it would be okay if we went to this other side of the island and got in a bit more on these paper fish hooks. Oh, by all means. Well, of all things, that hatching, that rebirth, that seeking to know how they get to be so credible with them. And in later life, I took, just to keep my memory, I made up something from my workplace, and so I made up something for my workplace so that I wouldn't remember, that I would be able to remember this paper fish hook and what it's meant to be, and this has been a reminder to me. And here is a little brookie-like, if you want to go fishing, there's a little brookie-like guy in here, and he'll give you helps. Every child in Canada gets one of these little brookie books. They're kind of a fishing book, and to learn about the spiritual factor that's involved in the construction of people. In here, the brookie in here, the brookie handbook is handled by a pretty good fisherman. He's quite an exemplary fisherman, and he'll make the spoons. He'll make the spoons and the fish hook lures and that. He'll love, joy, peace. I mean, you can bolt on or tie on any of the lures that he gives you to catch your fish. Eh? And so, and as for me, I've had quite a lot of problems in life, more than most, because I had 9 years in a home that made me into a Hitler Youth. I was built by the individual in that home. I was built to carry out life as a Hitler Youth. We all know we don't have anything too appreciative about any Hitler Youth. So to change my character, and the medical people involved, they come in and can destroy your whole accumulated memory bank just with a few lots of extra high voltage shocks. Kill it. But they tell you it'll come back, and you still have the responsibility to handle yourself as so. But this this guy that does the teaching on fishing, and the one that can train you to live a peaceful life, live a happy life, and enjoy your wife. Now, at the time my wife and I went to get married, I'll bring it out as a truthful factor. I had family members from her side that came to me and said, "You're going to be sorry marrying her." She didn't know what I had been through in life, because when I heard that, I went into my back room of my cranium library, and nobody knows what I've been through in my life. And I know I don't bring it up, but a little bit. But you know something? My mom came to me and said to me, "You're marrying the wrong lady, the wrong girl. You should marry your sister." My mom didn't know either. She didn't know what I saw in this lady. What I saw in this lady was somebody that I could commune with and talk with and walk with and so on. And I said to her, if you let me marry you, this is within 30 days of meeting, if you let me marry you, I'll help you raise your 2 boys, and we won't have, if we don't have any ourselves, that's okay too. But she turned right around and give us 4 more super guys. And I mean, so they'll never let you down. These boys will never let you down. And that's the love, that's the very love that this guy that baits the hook for you in here. And that, so, well, let's, he didn't, like I said, he couldn't be here, the guy I wanted to be here today. He couldn't be here, but he said to go ahead without me. You can do it. So, okay, let's leave it at that. And and don't forget it. He's always there. I was given a second chance, and I'm so grateful for the second chance I have with this guy. And don't leave yourself waiting for the second chance to come. Make sure you make that covenant with him and agree to go with him, and you will be amazed. You'll be amazed what he'll do for you. Thank you.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know.